What time is it? It's MLS Fantasy time. Game week 9 has come and gone. Game week 10 is now upon us. Hope your teams fared well or managed to at least survive whatever the heck happened over the weekend. That was about as unpredictable as it gets. I'm going to show y'all what fate befell my team in just a moment, and then after that, we're going to hit the tier list for the player rankings, and then I'll build my team for the weekend. We're going to spend a little extra time on the team review and building portion this week because for the second time this year, I'm enacting a philosophy change. And I'll do my best to explain the reasoning behind why. It's on defenders again. We're going to be talking about defenders quite a bit today. Last couple things before we start. As always, Pancake is hanging out. She's taking a nap today on the couch. She hasn't quite settled yet, but she's on the couch, not feeling the beanbag, I guess. We did just get back from a walk, so I bet she does take a nap. Keep in mind that when we do get to the tier list, if a player isn't included, it's probably because they're either hurt or I'm just really not interested in them this week. Or I just forgot to put them on. But I do think I got everyone that I meant to this week. Lastly, please feel free to like and subscribe. I sure do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get on over to the team. So, I made out with 109 points. Not bad considering I got a -1 and a 1 in my starting lineup. We'll start with the defenders. So, last week I talked about putting all my eggs into the Charlotte basket. That basket blew up pretty fast and in spectacular fashion. Or Charlotte, that was 2 weeks ago. What am I talking about? I'm living in the past. Houston, it's the same. It's a new week. It's the same story. That's where I'm getting mixed up. Put all my eggs. What a disaster start to the video. I put all my eggs into the Houston basket, which blew up towards the end of the game with that weird Austin breakaway. Steres and Clark is who I settled on. I went Steres because of budgetary reasons. They did both get threes, which I stranded on the bench, actually, switching to Seattle. I didn't like any of the late clean sheet options. Seattle had the best odds. What a meltdown. I've got post-traumatic stress disorder from watching that Seattle game. I mean, that could not have gone worse. I was lucky enough not to take Reagan. I saw a lot of people, including the #1 ranked player in the game, took Reagan and Roldan. He's still in #1. He's just that good. But I hope that y'all got lucky and did a little bit better with Seattle than I did. Brooks Lennon got the 3, which is kind of a bummer because before the point corrections Monday morning, he did have a 4. 3 still, I mean, compared to this other stuff, like a 3 is like an 8 in defender points, I feel like right now. So that's kind of how the defense went. I hit good on Kevin O'Toole. I pivoted to that towards the end. I think I did that when it was looking like there was maybe the Houston game was going to be canceled or delayed because of weather. And I was kind of like putting together my team for if that did happen. And O'Toole was in that draft. And when it did turn out the Houston game was going to play, I just for some reason was really feeling O'Toole. So I kept him in, which was great. Let's go on to the midfielders. I went with the Pooch and Pencil double up. That was very profitable. Santi had a big game. Thiago Almada had a good game. Cucho got 9 off the bench, which is pretty solid. Suarez did not do quite as good as I wanted him to. I thought that game would suit him a little bit better than it did. Still 7, not bad, but I wish that would have come through a little bit more. I even talked about captaining Suarez last week. Thank God I didn't do that. I put the cap on Lionel Messi, who went crazy. So that is how my week went. We're going to go back now to week 8. I'm going to talk a little bit about defense and how it's been going for me because it's a similar story. Complete whiff on the clean sheet that I felt the best about. I got Wagner points from a very lucky goal that week. Week 7, I did fare a little bit better this week. I hit on 3, which wasn't so bad. But once we get to like some of these earlier weeks, this was my best defensive week by far with the Wagner and Lennon double up. This is just my best week of the season. I think this was a week ranked 3. But these right here, pretty much from this point back, it's terrible. I mean, Ruddy, I think, got a goal that game. Here, just nothing for my defenders at all. Week 3, a little bit better that week, but I know the first 2 weeks were also really not good from the defensive standpoint for me. At the beginning of the game this year, with the scoring changes, my plan was just to spend as little money on defenders as I possibly could. If you saw in those first 1 to 4 weeks, that was what I did. Didn't work, and so then I decided just to pick, best clean sheet odds. Doesn't matter what the price is of those defenders. I'm just going to take them. That has not worked either. I did the math. I am 26% on predicting clean sheets this year. 26%. That's not good. Um, Over the weekend, this is a crazy weekend. Um, I think 70% around their percent of clean sheets, might have even been higher, were away clean sheets, which is really weird because I did the math on home versus away, and if you're trying to predict a clean sheet or take defenders, you think you're gonna get a shutout, you are 2/3 more likely to get one at home than away. So this weekend was weird, but in general, my predictions for clean sheets have been terrible. I have not been able to call them right. So here's what I think I'm going to do going forward. So a lot of this philosophy and players are going to be reflected in the tier list as well. Here's my plan going forward. I'll show you I'll show you what I'm going to do with Brooks Lennon. So with every other player that I'm picking right now, I'm not picking the team, I'm picking the player. So for midfielders and forwards, like I'm taking Messi because he's Messi. I'm taking, Pencil Pooch because I think they're going to do well. I think Santi's going to do well, blah, blah, blah. Defenders, I have not been doing that. I've just been taking what defenses I think are going to get a clean sheet. I don't know why I'm doing anything different because what I'm doing with midfielders and forwards is working. So from now on, I'm going to pretend like clean sheets more or less don't exist. I'm just going to pick the defender that I think is going to do well. I don't care about their team at all. I've been doing that with really just Brooks Lennon, and he's been the best performing defender for me. I mean, he's been the best performing defender in the game, but another thing I did is I want to take defenders who are getting good bonus points, not points from clean sheets, because I just can't call clean sheets at all. So if we look at, here's Brooks Lennon's page, right? Here's what I'm doing for all defenders right now. This is pretty caveman math and counting. If you think this is dumb, ignore it. I'm still gonna talk in the tier list about picking, teams who have good shots at a clean sheet, those defenders. I'm still gonna do both. But if you count up all of Brooks Lennon's bonus points, and I'm also subtracting because you get a -1 for yellow card and minus whatever for red, right? I'm pretty sure it's -3. I'm subtracting those two. Because there are, players who pick up yellow cards quite a bit. There's no reason to ignore that. And then I'm also subtracting the points for goals allowed, right? If you pretty much just do all the math from goals conceded to the right, get whatever number that gets you. Then if you go over here, for goals and assists, I'm only counting those as 1 point. I'm not taking the 3 or the 5. I'm just calling each goal contribution or each clean sheet as 1 point. If you take all those numbers, you add them up, then you take the number of games that they've played 90 in, because that's kind of all I care about. Anything else, I think, just messes with the sample size. Take the points, divide it by the games, you get a number. For Brooks Lennon, that number comes out to 2.6. He's basically averaging on whatever scale you want to call that, bonus points minus whatever else, and goal contributions tallied in, it gives you 2.6. Okay? 2.6 is tied with one other player for being an entire point above every other defender that you could do this with. So I'm trying to use that point scale to grade defenders from now on. I did something a little bit similar last year with defenders, but I didn't use it as a tool for myself as much. But I'm going to try to again this week, and I'm just going to ignore clean sheets. So basically that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to try to do this week. I'm going to use my point system I made up. I'm going to take the player, not the clean sheet, and I'm not worrying about money. Basically, I'm going to, however much they cost is however much they cost. I think it's worth it. That's the plan. I did mention one other defender's tied with Brooks Lennon. I'm going to get to him in the tier list. I hope that makes a little bit of sense, or at least you can see the method in the madness. I've been put over the edge on trying to pick defenders. I'm trying something new. Hopefully it works. When we come back to the team, you'll see too. This is just the autofill, but you'll see what that looks like. Let's do the tier list. Let's get on to it. We're going to start with keepers. As always, move our way forward onto the attackers. Let's get ahead and get started. So I've got Bono first from DC. I think he's a good option. I know DC's defense is a little bit sus, but they have kept some clean sheets this year. Bono isn't too expensive. With the game times this week, I think there's no reason to keep Aru. I really don't think there's a reason to do it. With all my drafts this week, money has been a big issue, big problem. So investing extra money in an earlier late game keeper who I don't even think is going to keep a clean sheet, I think it's just a waste. If you look at the late and early games, Los Angeles, Portland, I don't see either team keeping a clean sheet. Austin, LA Galaxy, I don't see either team keeping a clean sheet. So what's the point? right? All the other games are super, super congested. You could try to see one half of a 7 or a 6:30 game on your bench and then the 7:30 game, but that's just there's no way. You could maybe like you could toss the 6:30 game keeper on your bench, and obviously if the clean sheet's blown, then you could try pivoting to a 7:30. I still don't think it's worth it. I'm just not keeper ring this week. So again, Bono, I think decent option, decent chance. Seattle are very depleted. They're going to be down a couple players because the red card they can't really score as it is, to be honest. So not a bad pick. Celentano, I'm not sure. He is a good option. I think Cincinnati have a really good shot at keeping a clean sheet this week, which with my luck means they're not going to keep a clean sheet at all, but they do have a good shot. Celentano's back in training this week. I actually really don't know if he's going to start or not, to be honest. It kind of seems like he is. The only real issue with Celentano this week is he is super expensive. He's like 8.5. That is steep for a keeper. And I already mentioned that even as it is, like, my budget is in the mud this week. So I think it's a good option, but holy moly, that's a luxury pick. Freeze is also a very good option. I think of all the keepers that I'm going to talk about, I think he is probably the best option. New York City have been pretty solid recently, actually, all around, but also defensively at home. They're going to be at home again against Charlotte, who have just fallen apart, it seems like. Freeze has also just been really good, by the way. I think he's a top 3 keeper in the league right now. The week before last, the man had the game of his life. Very good option, like 6.8 million, not too bad. Carlos Cornell, I like to. The Red Bulls have the highest odds at a clean sheet this week. I don't see that at all. I don't understand where the odds makers are getting that from. Vancouver have not been shut out this year, period. I know the Red Bulls have a good defense, but, like, I don't know. I think Vancouver get a goal. I don't really want to bet against Ryan Gauld and Brian White. I'd rather bet against teams that don't have the players like that, like Charlotte, for example. But the Red Bulls do still have a good chance. They are a very good defense. Cornell, I think, is like 0.1 more expensive than Freeze, so whatever. I'll toss them on there. Also, I'm watching a Premier League game right now. Liverpool's playing Everton, so if I do react to something, FYI, that's what it is. I'll try to comment on it, but I'm going to try to stay focused. I've got it on the background. Anyways, Khan and Hagen. So this is kind of like a if it happens pick. If Celentano doesn't play, Alec Khan is only 5.2 million on Cincinnati. That's great. That would be amazing, to be honest. And then Hagen from Columbus is, I think, straight up 4 million. Last time they had a CCC game midweek, which they do on Wednesday, Schulte sat and Hagen played. So there is a chance that it can happen. I don't know if it's going to, but there's a shot that it will. If it does, that's a 4 million starter on a home team with decent clean sheet odds. I know the CCC element is going to, take their chances down a little bit. They're going to be kind of tired. But it is a game in Columbus. And Montreal don't have any forwards left. They're all hurt. With no disrespect to Mason Toy, who scored a goal last week. That was pretty cool. But, that's a good shot at a clean sheet. He's 4 million if he plays. So just keep an eye out for that. If these guys play, that would be amazing. Pedro Gallese, also budget friendly. He's only 5.2. Orlando have actually, I think, a decent shot at a clean sheet this week. They are playing Toronto. Toronto also have a midweek game in the Canadian Championship. They've been really poor away from home anyway. I know Wusu's been putting up a few goals the last few games, but I think Orlando have a good shot, especially for the price. I don't mind Gallese this week. I do think he has maybe been the worst keeper in the league this year. Played well below his standard, but still, he's cheap. A lot of these options for keeper are kind of sus anyway. Let's talk Semley, also budget friendly. I think Andre Blake is going to be hurt for a while. I haven't seen any news on it with the groin problem. I don't really know if Andre Blake plays this week. I'm willing to bet that he gets re-injured. It seems like he's trying to play through something, because there was the CCC game earlier in the year where he didn't take goal kicks because of that groin problem. That was a while ago. He's still having this issue. I think it's serious, and maybe they're not treating it seriously, and I think they should. So I think Semley's going to start again. He's only 4.6. That's a pretty good deal. They are playing Real Salt Lake. It is at home, but I wouldn't really bet against Salt Lake right now, especially I wouldn't bet against Chucho Rongo. But, he's pretty cheap. it is what it is. Let's get on to defenders. Brooks Lennon, S tier. He only got 3 points this week, but like compared to some of the other stuff, like what more can you hope for? He's still, I think, the best defender in the game. He is expensive though. He's 9.4. If you don't want to spend the money on that, I get it. I totally get it. If you're not worried about the cash, and unless you like just don't take away players, period, I really think you should take him. I really, really do. Chicago away. Atlanta whooped Chicago last time, and Chicago are depleted. They're down a lot of starters. They're rolling out the borderline C team this week, I think. And they just lost 4-0 at home. So is it even in a away game? We'll have to see. I really like Lynn this week. I really, really do. Amazon from Columbus. The only issue with Columbus is the CCC element, of course. And Amazon, actually, he is really expensive. He's like 8.5, I think. But I was talking about the BP math on the bonus points I was doing earlier. He has one of the best floors of any defender in the game. And it's a home game. Very, very solid pick. He's a little expensive for my blood. And Columbus may rotate some anyway, but I don't know. He's in the back of my head, but not quite in the conversation. Herrera from DC United is going to be back this week from yellow card suspension. I'll put him in fun punt. He's only 7.7, not so bad. He does have attacking potential. He was great the week before last. I mean, he ran that game. But I will say, like, that performance in a lot of the other games I've seen that he's played really well hasn't really translated to fantasy. I don't know if he's had an assist since week 2. I still think he's a fun option, but I am not super, super high on him. His bonus points and his attacking output in fantasy isn't quite where it should be. Matt Miazga, I think I really like this week. He's not cheap. He's either like 7.7 or maybe 8 something, but he is the best performing defender on Cincinnati in terms of bonus points. He gets a lot of yellow cards, which hurts it sometimes, but he is also a goal threat from set pieces. I think since they have a good shot at a clean sheet, I think he's a good option. DeAndre Yedlin, I think I'm going to put him in maybe. I think a lot of people are taking him over Miazga right now for the attacking potential, but his bonus points, I think, have been very poor. If he doesn't get an assist and they don't get the clean sheet, you're looking at a 1 or a 2. If they don't get the clean sheet from Miazga, I think you're looking at a 3 or a 4. So that's why I'm sticking with I'm more higher on Miazga than Yedlin. Thiago Martins, I think is a good option. Borderline S tier, maybe. He also is a defender who's been performing very well on the bonus points. New York City will be playing again at Yankee Stadium this week, which does hurt their clean sheet chances a little bit. But I would guess that Martins will have a better shot at getting a clearance bonus point, since the ball will be going end to end a little bit more often. Like I said, one of the best performing bonus points players in the game. I should have taken him the last 2 weeks in a row. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I think he's a great pick. He's up to 7.7, but still. Ilinic and Risa, if you do think New York City are going to get the clean sheet and you want the cheapest possible options, even if you want to stack with this, I think that's a fair pick. They're both like 5.1, 5.2, something like that. Both starters, don't really get any bonus points, but if you're clean sheet hunting on the cheap, there you go. Noah Isle is also, I think, a good option this week. He hasn't played a full 90 a ton, but when he does, he's got bonus points with the best of them. Really, really good player. He's also only $7 million. Maybe borderline budget friendly. I think a really good option this week. Really, really good option. John Tolkien, definitely a good, maybe more fun punt this week. He is up to like 6.4, 6.5. He did take some corners last week. That's what's got me a little bit more reinterested. He hasn't been on like any set pieces until this last week, so you've got some potential there for something. If you think they're going to get a clean sheet and you want a shot at maybe some attacking output, why not? Thorhausen from Orlando is, I think, I might stick him in maybe, but he's somewhere on the line between that and a good option. He is expensive. He's either like 7.8 or he might even be up to 8 something, but His bonus points aren't very good. They're not as good as you'd think they would be. At the beginning of the year, they were very good, but they've dropped off quite a bit, although he has been getting some goals and some assists. With some of these other guys that I've got in good option, I just like their bonus points a lot more than Thorhausen, and like I said, Thorhausen's also pretty expensive. But Orlando do have a good shot at clean sheet, and he still has a good shot at getting some kind of points. He's having a great season. Can't really go wrong there, but I'm not quite sold on the level that I am some of these other guys. Kyle Smith is like 4.5 million. If you're clean sheet hunting on the cheap again for Orlando, I assume he's going to start. There you go. Kai Wagner, I think, is a good option this week. Very expensive, though. Definitely kind of a luxury pick. He is at home, so if you want a defender with legitimate attacking output, and that's on set pieces at home, there you go. Salt Lake are, I mean, they're a pretty good team in general right now. Just being kind of carried by Chicho Rongo and also maybe a little bit just the power of friendship. They definitely seem like a team that get along very well right now. So I don't really want to bet against Salt Lake. I don't really want to bet on them either, but, Wagner is a good option this week. Mikael, this is the guy. S tier, straight up. He and Lennon are tied on 2.6 average bonus points plus the other stuff I put in per game. Like I said earlier, that is a whole point higher than anybody else. I think the next highest was 1.6, and I think it wasn't Wagner. Wagner came out to like 1.3, I want to say. Also, Everton just scored. What the heck? It might be Martins is the guy at 1.6. It might be Yoshida, actually. I haven't included Yoshida this week just because it's the away game and their defense has been really bad. But I think it might have actually been Yoshida. Anyway, Mikael has the best floor of any defender. He has not dropped less than a 4. That's better than the next best at a 2. That's wild. I wish I would have just taken him every week. Just 4 in defense, yes please. I know that it is a rivalry game this week against FC Dallas. It's also an away game. But FC Dallas have only scored 2 goals, I'm pretty sure, the opening game against San Jose at home. I mean, it's a rivalry game, so I'm not betting on the clean sheet. Like, I think FC Dallas are probably going to score, but I don't think they're going to score more than once. So I don't think Mikael is going to lose a point for that. He hasn't the whole season. I don't think Houston has conceded more than once, period. He's a bonus point monster. He seems at the moment like a guaranteed 4. S tier. He's also like, he went down in price too. He's like 7.5 now. Not bad at all. Let's get on to midfielders. Gazdag, I'm going to put him in M maybe. I just don't necessarily want to bet against Salt Lake, even though Philly are at home. But if you are a big Gazdag fan, he's been doing really well recently. Why not? Thiago Almada, I think is S tier. I think he's elevated. Like I said earlier, I could not be lower in Chicago right now. I really couldn't. I think if they're going to be a spoon contender, then last week was the week that their spoon campaign began. And I just have a hard time seeing it get any better this week. I know historically Atlanta are not great away from home. I know they haven't been this year either, but one of those games was last week where Almada still did well. And 2 of those games they didn't have Giacomakis. He should be fully back this week. And also Atlanta have been down to their 3rd and 4th string center backs. I think they're going to get at least one of those back this week. I have a hard time siding with any argument against Almada this week. I think he's S tier. I think he's fully back and putting up some crazy points. Robin Lod is in insane form right now. He's a good option this week. His bonus points are decent. I was going to say good, maybe not. They're decent, but I kind of looked at him like 1 or 2 weeks earlier in the year just because he's been scoring and assisting so much, and I've always just looked at the bonus points and been like, well, if he doesn't, then it's not going to be a good output, but he hasn't stopped. He gets a goal and assist like every game, sometimes more. He's a really good option right now. A really, really good option. Hani Mukhtar, I think, look, with midfielders this week, all the good options are like expensive. Like they just are. I'm tempted to put him in budget friendly because he's only 8.6, and he is maybe not, to be honest, an elite player anymore. He's certainly not playing on an elite team. But Nashville does have as good of a matchup as they're going to get. They're at home against San Jose this week. Mukhtar's going to get a lot of opportunities. He should be involved in everything. I don't want to put him in fun. Maybe I will put him in fun pot. 8.6 is maybe a little bit high to call budget friendly, but I think he's got a good shot this week at doing something. I do think his floor is kind of low, to be honest, especially with the way the Nashville has performed this year. I'm not sold on him the way I am a lot of other midfielder options, and I do think there are a lot of really good midfielder options this week. So I'm not going to put him any higher than fun punt. Espinoza, probably going to put him in the same spot. He's been killing it on the bonus points, putting up some good assists, running everything for San Jose as per usual. Away from home at the moment, I'm not sure if San Jose are going to get a better matchup. I would say really if Nashville don't win this game, then it's really time to hit the panic button for them. But Espinoza, win or lose, I think he's going to get shots at something. So he's a fun option. Oliveira, I'm going to put him budget friendly. You do have to take either a midfielder or a forward. Well, I guess it depends. If you take midfielder forward options starting from Austin or LA, then you don't have to, or not starting. If you take, Pooch or Pencil or whatever, and put them on your bench, if they hit, then you don't have to take a late midfield or forward option from 9:30. If you don't do that, then you do. So just from those LAFC options or Evander from Portland, who we'll talk about in just a moment, Bogusz and Oliveira are both good options. I'll probably put Bogusz maybe more in fun punt. Oliveira's like 7.7. His bonus points have actually been really solid. I have not been impressed with him at all this year, just watching him play. But Portland's defense is really poor. LAFC are kind of imperious at home. He's going to get good chances, and his bonus points have been decent. So I think it's a decent option if you are going to have a late game midfielder in, whether you scrub them or not. Bogusz, I think, is a fun punt. He's been taking a lot of set pieces recently. They started Kai Kamara last week. I kind of hope they do it again, to be honest. I think it worked well. And they dropped Bogusz down to the 10. I think that was a good spot for him. He performed really well. I think he's a fun punt this week. And he's not too expensive either. Evander is, I think, I might regret it, but I'm going to hold off on S tier. He seems matchup proof. He is, I mean, I'm tempted to say, aside from Messi, like the best player in the league right now. Maybe aside from Chicho. I mean, he has been unreal for Portland recently. And unreal in the game, too. His floor is crazy high. This is a very difficult away game for Portland, but, I mean, can you bet against Evander? No, you cannot. He is expensive, though. He's like 11.5 for a last game midfielder that you might just scrub anyway. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure on the matchup, but I'm not going to bet against him. I think he's still a good option. Joveljic, probably a good option just because he has been scoring so much. He does basically get subbed every game before the 75th or 80th minute. But he is good for a goal, and he's put up some decent bonus points. He got an assist last game, so probably still a good option. Cucho, also probably a good option. The CCC stuff has me a little bit wary, but I'm not going to bet against Cucho. His bonus points and all that, he's got an incredible floor for forward in this game. Christian Benteke, I think I'm going to call him S tier this week. Seattle are down to their fourth and they've still got Yamar, right? So they've got Yamar, and then I don't know who's going to play next to him because Reagan's out. They just traded Xavier Arriaga to New England. Do they have another center back to play with Yamar? That team's very depleted. They've also been poor. DC are one of the best attacking teams in the league. Benteke has been very wasteful in front of goal, but his bonus points are great. I mean, he hits 4 shots a game just about every time, and I think he has a great chance to score this game. I really like DC in that matchup. I think they're going to put up some goals for sure. I love Benteke this week. Love him. Messi, S tier. Chanel, I've got another defender. I guess out of order, he's stuck in here. I think he's a good budget-friendly option. He made over like 100 passes last game, which is kind of crazy. Also, because I think, did he come off the bench or did he start? I can't remember, but he got a crazy amount of passing bonus points. If you do go with a 930 defender, Chanel, I think, is the best option by far. He's also only 5.5. Like, there you go. Pencil, I think, is a good option. If you were home again, I might call him S tier. It seems like he's on like all the set pieces now. He took corners, he took the pen. Super, super good option this week. He should. We'll talk about where he is in my team in just a minute, but he's just one of the best options right now. Ricky Pooch, he's going to hang out in S tier until he puts up a bad score. Just about the best floor in the game. Had a great game last week. What can you say? He's one of the best there is. I think Click from DC United is a very fun punt. His price isn't bad either. He's only like 8.3. Like I said, I think DC is going to have a lot of chances against Seattle, and Click is the set piece guy. Very, very fun option this week. Lucho Costa, I think, has regained his S tier status. This is also a good week for him. This is the most players I've had in S tier in a while. He had a great game last week. This weekend is a really good matchup for him, I think, for sure. If Cincinnati's attack can improve, they also just signed a new forward as well. I think that should help. It's Lucho Costa. He's back to doing what he does. What else can you say? Santi, maybe borderline S tier, but I'll probably just leave him in good option for now. Playing at home against Charlotte is a very good, very, very good matchup for him. He's been on fire. He's also not crazy expensive. He's like 10.5 now. Super, super, super good pick this week. Luis Suarez, I'm going to put him in maybe. Not because I have some sort of any stock in the Revs at all. I think New England is maybe the worst team in the league right now, home or not. But I don't know if Suarez is going to play this week. It's only Wednesday, but the speculation on this is a little bit annoying because it's very difficult to say. Suarez did not play on turf in Brazil. So will he play on turf in the United States? I have no idea. I have no clue if he's going to play this week or not. I wish someone would just ask, or ask Tata or something. We're going to have to wait for the press conferences. No idea. So I've got him in M maybe. I don't know if he's going to play. Messi actually is a little bit in the same boat. There is like an interview from a while ago with Messi saying that he would play on turf. If I had to guess anyway, like I think there's no way Messi's not playing. But I actually will say with Messi, I wouldn't be surprised if he only plays like 70 minutes, maybe an hour. Unless Miami's somehow losing, just because of the turf thing. I don't know if he's going to go the full 90, but even then, you take Messi. But that's kind of the Miami situation there. Carranza, I think, is a fun punt. He's not too expensive. There are a lot of forwards that I would take ahead of him. Salt Lake, like I said earlier, Salt Lake's backline is a little bit depleted, though, to be fair. That wasn't a problem against Chicago, but Philly are different animals. So if you want to take Carranza for that reason, I think that's a fun pick. Chicho, I think, is pretty much matchup proof, to be honest with you. I'll probably just leave him a good option for the rest of the season unless he... he'll probably just fluctuate between good option and S tier. Philly is a super, super, super tough matchup, though. But I mean, he's still got like one of the best floors in the game for points. He was unreal last week, so I'm not going to bet against him. Giacomakis is also going to be a good option this week. I'm not so sure about his minutes. I mean, I guarantee he's going to get subbed at some point in the game. Unless Chicago is like miraculously winning somehow. And even then, like I bet he gets subbed between the 60th and 75th minute. That being said, I still think he's like the best 9 in the league. And I think Chicago are terrible. So you cannot go wrong with Giacomakis. He's also not crazy expensive either. I think he's only 9.7. Buanga, I'm calling S tier this week. I think I put him in the trap tier last week. That was probably my worst take of the week. I did mention the home and away thing. That seems to be the story. You take him at home, don't take him away. Period. That's all there is to it. He's unreal at home. His home form has been crazy. He does still seem to miss a sitter every week. He's in his Nunez era right now, but you got to take him at home. I think he's S tier. I against a terrible defense too. I think he's gonna have a big week. Last one I got is Peck. Maybe between a fun punt and budget friendly. I think he is up to like 8 points something now, so I'll probably just put him in fun punt. But he's been on really good form for Galaxy, getting heavily involved. He played the full 92. I think he's going to get some good chances against Austin. I think he's a fun punt. I really, really do for a little bit of a discount. So that is the tier list. One thing I don't know if I would add it, but I do want to mention with Columbus defenders. I've got where I put Amundsen down and maybe there are two other options if you do want to try the Columbus defense to consider. Farsi and Morera. Morera's like 7 million, I think. Had a really good game last week. Has put up some really good bonus points. I think he's a good option. And then Farsi, if he starts, like 4.4, great price. Columbus, I did talk about earlier, like the CCC stuff has me a little bit off of them, but I do think in all their other games where they've come back from the midweek game, they've done like decent. So do keep that in mind. Just one more thing to tack on before we build the team. So here's what I'm thinking. Like I said earlier, budget is a big issue. So I'm gonna need to take. I'm gonna need to pick some spots to wane off a little bit on the spending. Goalkeeper is going to be one of those. St. Louis do have the bye this week. So for your scrubs, there you go. Take some St. Louis guys who are 4 million. They have plenty. For my other keeper, I did mention I'm not doing the keeperoo this week. I'm going to go with Gallese from Orlando just because I think they have for the price, they have the best shot at a clean sheet. 5.2 is pretty fair. If Hagen starts for Columbus, though, I'm taking him, pivoting to that, no question. The only issue is Columbus. No, they do play at 6:30. So, well, okay, there's one issue with it. I'll explain it in a little bit. But if Hagen starts, I'm going with him. If Kahn starts for Cincinnati, he's 5.2. I might go with him also. But for now, I've got Gallese in. Defenders, I talked about. Verhausen's up to 8.1, so he's a little bit pricey, but it's not as bad as 8.5. I think was the other thing I said. Lennon is just week in, week out, nailed on my team. Gonna take him for sure. I'm gonna take Mikael because I'm sick of not having the forwards. I mean, these two guys are the best defenders you can pick in the game right now. Like I said, I don't care about matchup home and away. These are the guys. I'm giving them the shot this week. For my last option, I am not going to fade Thiago Martins again. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be a victim once more. With the spot, though, we'll see what happens. It would only be for budgeting reasons. Martins has been in a few of my drafts in and out with Noah Isle from New York because he's only 7 million. But for now, I'm giving Martins the edge. And then for my scrub spot, I'll go with St. Louis guy. And there's the other defensive spot too. There are, if you go into the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord and find hashtag fantasy tools and go into the Mega Reference Google Doc linked in there, you can find a list of safe scrubs. I'm not exactly sure who made that. It was either X-Ward or Ranchnator, I think. So credit to them for their incredible work. But one of the guys on that list is Justin Reynolds. So I know he's like on loan, I think, or something. So he for sure won't go into the game. So he is a safe scrub. He's going to be my other guy. I'm going to put him in the lineup, in my starting lineup in just a minute. Midfielders. I'm super high on Thiago Almada, like I said. So I've seen a lot of people a little bit more wary on him. I don't quite get it. And some people benching him. I mean, I'm not going to criticize a bench play, but I can't not start him. I'm super high on him this week. I'm also really high on Acosta. I think he's going to be really good this week. Pooch, I think it's just, you take him no matter what right now. So I've got him in there as well. Although I will say this week is maybe a little bit of an asterisk. I don't know if the set piece and responsibility change, swing a little bit more Painsel's way is going to hurt him too much or at all. It didn't last week really, but we'll see. And then I definitely want Santi this week, home against Charlotte. And I've got one more spot. I think for that spot I need to pick a late game guy. Maybe. I had Oliveira in here earlier. I had him over Bogusz because he's a little bit cheaper. I'm gonna leave him for now, but that might get changed around once I look at the team as a whole. For my forwards, Denny Bouanga for sure. I think is gonna what's happening. He's gonna feast this week. I've got Messi, of course, the auto captain. What else can you say? And then for my last spot, I'm super high on Benteke, so he's in there as well. I'm going to leave Benteke on my bench. I'm going to put Pooch on my bench too because he has the early game. I'm actually going to start Justin Reynolds over Santi too. this is how I had it set up earlier. Um, like I said, there's no point in keeperooing. I have a little bit of a budget for it for if I like went to the 9:30 game. I don't think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna use that money elsewhere if stuff goes wrong. Um, if Pooch and Benteke both hit, they'll go in for Reynolds and Dyer. If Santi hits, then I can scrub Oliveira. Although now that I think about it, if Pooch hits, then I could have instead of Oliveira an option from any of these games in my midfield. So I do have other stuff to consider from there if I wanted to spend a little bit more money on that spot, but I really straight up just think Pooch is going to hit. So I've got it there. He could even start, but it's just with the early game, I feel like it just makes sense to leave him on the bench. I'm not doing any changes or scrubbing with my defenders, not putting any of those guys on the bench just because I like the setup the most for this week. The way the fixtures are congested, with there really not being that many defenders who I like right now, and I'm not, stacking up clean sheet chances on the bench. This just makes the most sense to me. I'm captaining Messi, although I have been tempted to cap Bouanga, but right now, if Messi starts, just cap him. Just do it. If not, you're dropping points. That's really how it is at the moment. So I think that's basically all I have to say about this week. Thanks for sitting through my ranting on my new defensive philosophy. For sure. Look forward to next week when it doesn't work and I come in with a whole new thing and act like it's the way to go, but hopefully not. That is going to do it for Pancake and I today. I really wish each and every one of y'all the best this weekend. I hope y'all enjoyed or found something useful here. Good luck again dealing with the game time congestion and navigating the chaos that I'm sure we're going to see again. Best of luck as always, and I'll talk to y'all again next week.